Hey everyone, Jeff Lee here, AbelCine. We're doing a little bit of an early NAB preview. I'm with Ken Rowe from Canon, who's joining us today. So of course we have the new lens, and we have to talk about Canon, and we talk about Canon lenses. You sold what, 110 million of these things?
110 million EF lenses.
Yeah. So of course EF lenses is super popular. You guys have done super well with the cinema primes and the cinema servos and the cinema zooms. But this is sort of filling a gap that, maybe we're missing a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, actually, this is a completely new lens line for us. This is our Compact-Servos. And what really, the reason this came about was we have such a big audience of EF lens users that are using them to shoot video. And then we have these high-end servo lenses and cinema lenses, and there's kind of a gap in between. And people are really looking for something that kind of gives them the combination of both, but at a price point that's more accessible to every working person out there in this industry. So what we have here is we have the CNE 18 to 80. This is our Compact-Servo lens again. It's a T4.4. So very equivalent to, say, like a 24 to 105 EF lens that people are using. So it gives you that nice reach from, nice wide angle to a pretty good telephoto, enough to cover the basics. And a real nice aspect of this is the fact that you can take this one lens and you can cover lots of stuff with it. So if I want to show a couple things on the lens, if you notice on the side, it's very EF-like in the sense that you can turn on the different aspects like manual focus, iris control separately, so you can control what you want to control and you can let the camera take care of what you don't. Other interesting things, this is an image stabilized lens, which is kind of a first for a cinema servo type lens. The other thing that's really fantastic about this lens is each ring, the zoom, the iris, and the focus are all geared, so they can work with not only our servo, which is built into the lens, but also with external devices that use that. So there's also on this is actually a servo adjustment box right here, so this can actually control the zoom rocker, and it has a start-stop option on the side. So this is actually an optional accessory, but this will be something you can get to the lens. If you choose not to go this route and want to keep it more like a traditional cinema lens, it does have on the side of the camera lens barrel the rocker to control the zoom with it.
Right, so they're very multi-purpose, and even looking at it, the design is obviously sort of built from that cinema style with the witness marks, everything on the side, but it sort of has the familiar feel that maybe an EF user would have. And what interesting on this, I thought, was that the servo unit is built into the lens, and the hand grip is removable. Right, and there's probably plans for additional lenses after this lens?
Yeah, actually, because this is a new series, there will be new lenses going forward. And another thing is this is a lens that will grow with you. It's a completely 4K compatible lens. So whether you're using it with the C100 or a C300, it's going to work with both. The lens coatings on this lens are very similar to our cinema series, so the look and feel when moving between them will be very accurate and very similar, so it'll be easy to cut and intercut with the lenses.
So that's fantastic. So it's EF mount. It looks like we're getting all power and communication through that EF mount.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's one of the nice things too about the lens is that it will power through any Canon camera on the EF mount. So all power, all communication comes through the lens mount into the camera lens, and that's what controls it. But the other thing is if you're using it with something that does not have an EF powered lens mount, we also have external power in, so it can be used in both scenarios.
Yeah, and notice there's also a 20-pin connector too, so you could sort of use it with a standard zoom demand or iris demand.
We do have the connector on the bottom, so if you're trying to use this in a standard, say, ENG setup, where you want to use the handheld demands, you can plug those in and it will give you access to that. And also, it will work with our RCV100 remote controller, which means if you were to plug that into the back of this a C300 Mark II or even one of our new multi-purpose cameras, it will be able to control the lens as well as the color parameters and different settings in the camera. And, when you talk about the different types of shooting that's out there, it's a nice flexible lens because whether you're doing the run and gun on the shoulder or whether you're putting it on a tripod, it really works in all those scenarios. So it's as automatic as you want it to be or it's as manual as you want it to be. So we really feel that it really does give a lot more options to people as far as a single lens to help them get all their production needs.
Now it's interesting because you actually just mentioned multi-purpose camera too. So we all know about the ME20 FSH, which is sort of that 4 million ISO, sees in the dark, awesome camera. But you guys are also announcing, on top of that, right, the new ME200 SSH, right, which is sort of this Super 35?
Super 35 millimeter camera, right? So the difference between the ME20 is the ME20 was our full frame, high sensitivity camera. This uses the same chip that we have on our C100 Mark II. So familiar form factor in the Super 35 that everyone works with. It's got a locking EF mount, so you don't have to rotate the lens, so much easier if you're working with a lot of accessories, which a camera like this really is designed to be, because when you look at a box camera, you're like, okay, well, how do I use this? And really the thing is, it's kind of limitless, right? You can see the screw holes on the top, means I can downsling it, I can mount them up on top, I can put this on a tripod like this with handholds, make it a studio camera. I can even rig this out with a shoulder pad and the lens like the CNE right over here, and I can take that and go shoulder mount and go anywhere with it. Right. The other nice thing about this camera is it does not have, because it doesn't have an internal recording system, it really leaves the options over to you. So if you want to make this a broadcast camera, we have Genlock, we have two SDIs, and they're both 3G compatible. So one SDI can be your clean feed, the other one can be your menu. So you can feed a monitor and see all the camera settings, and you can also see the recording and have a clean one go out. So it's a really versatile camera, and there's a lot of different ways, and we can't wait to see how people put this together. I mean, we see a lot of these days people installing like action cameras and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't work ideally for all high quality production, maybe for a little bit here and here. This is really a high quality camera that will give you the full HD that you need to make a high-end production.
Right. Yeah, and you notice, of course, it has the controller for your paint box, right? The RCP.
Yes, the RCP 100 will connect right on the back of the camera.
Right. So full camera control, HDMI, SDI in and out, Genlock. Yeah.
Everything you can need.
Right. And actually, one point, just as we're talking, I'm looking at this. I realized that earlier we're looking at this. We realized this comes off, and there's a standard rosette on it. So in theory, I could rig this up, put the hand grip controller a little bit lower down, maybe for rigging reasons.
Absolutely, because of the fact that there's this unit actually is removable with the rosette. It allows you to relocate, but not only just relocate it if you want, but also to change the hand grip position. So that makes it so you can get a much more comfortable and more natural positioning than you would if it was a fixed servo lens feature.
Yeah, that's great. So that's sort of it for now. That's sort of a little sneak peek at what Canon is doing at NAB. We'll obviously be there in full force, as will Canon, so stay tuned for more, and see you in Vegas.